Well, I told you I'd be back in a minute. Well, I'm back. This is what we used to call Harmony Leland Elementary School. It's now the new South Cobb Early Learning Center. You remember how I told you that education... Hi, how are you? How I told you that education is so important. It is. Across the street from here, you remember how I told you I went to Lindley Middle School, which is down over at the old Pebblebrook. Well, across the street over those trees is the new Lindley Middle School. Down the street is the Lindley's Middle School 6th grade academy. Y'all, that's just how many babies are still being born. Still being born. This was Harmony Leland. Could anything good come out of Washington Street Elementary School? This is where the elementary students were bused to. Okay, after desegregation. My sister Susanne Ward Jones Henry, walked in those doors right there. Now, she was the baby. I was the 13th. Now, you better believe my daddy was up here. Okay, my mom worked at a cotton mill. My mom helped the public job, which is a normal thing. In this day and time, people think that you just buy everything on earth you want to buy and let that man go to work or let that woman go to work. But back in that day, it was let that man go to work. But a lot of women worked. I have been around so many women, husbands and women, that they accomplished and achieved so much working together. Did you know working together works? Oh yeah, that wife carried the insurance on her job while that husband was out. He may have had his own company like my daddy, and my daddy was a sharecropper. My daddy worked for Fruit Growers Express. Oh my God. Yes. So you work together. One may have carried the insurance, and normally they put that wife on that job to carry that insurance. Because that way, okay, the wife went out in the street, the wife wasn't here. Nowadays, and I've been listening to a lot of the talk on the aggressiveness of the women. So it's okay. But my dad had his own business. He raised hogs. He sharecropped. My daddy, it was nothing for us to go to the farmer's market and get the slop. Oh yeah, I wrote many times. That's why I don't eat fruit now. I wrote too many times. It was nothing for us to get a whipping for not going to get the cows, for not milking the cows, for not going to do a lot of different things. So it was okay, but my dad was at the schools with us. My dad only had a 3rd grade education. You never would have believed it. They thought we was rich. They thought we was rich. My mother knew how to cover her husband in her house. But my sister Susanne went to school here. And my daddy was there. Anybody went to school in Cobb County, it was something about them old folks. You were going to get an education. They knew the value of education. They knew the value of educating a child. Okay, even with my grandchildren, I take them everywhere. exposure is everything. Teaching them. Exposure is teaching them how to come up out of them houses and deal with deal with society. Yes. And know how to effectively, safely learn different things. Harmony Leland was the school in Mableton that the children came from Washington Street Elementary School. Susanne and Bernice and they were the only two that started here in an all-white school. They were some scared, knee-shaking girls. Yes. And it was at this school, Miss McBeautiful, who was an executive with the NAACP, came. And when we tried to come back, and this was when the 80th governor ran to get Black history, there was none. They do not know what happened to the history. They don't know who took it. My boys went to this school, but it had been desegregated long before then. And I asked a question. They tell me, Ma, you need to write a book. I asked them, where do you start on a book? It was at this school that they were going to shut this school down. Harmony Leland Elementary School. They were going to shut this school down. And you know how I told you that God will put you in weird places? I don't know why folks call me, but he was my old coach Hare from up at Austell Middle School, where they sent us to on the cough of desegregation. He was nice. We had some very nice teachers that protected us. I really mean protected us. Coach Hare was our PE teacher. Some of them teachers took just as many hits as we did on calling us out of our names. But during the year he was here before Miss McBeautiful, they were saying we're going to shut that school down. Coach Hare called me. And he said, he was Principal Hare then. He said, Miss Gator, they are talking about closing this school and busing the children somewhere else. The word busing just didn't sit right with me. He said, they can't close this school down. He said, we need Harmony Leland Elementary School. Okay, and now y'all look at it. They got so many children, it's South Cobb Early Learning Center. We got so many children. Education. Education is the key. I thought about starting out today up at Lithia Springs, where I was, yours truly, the last official treasurer of record. Yes, this black lady coming from Washington Street Elementary School. They said nobody could balance those books. You need to go to the Sentinel newspaper and read of, I'm going to tell you, that Doug Couch. That man kept history. Okay, he documented. See, some white people were put in place as great writers to make sure that this history went down. I was working as a bailiff in the courtroom, and I was working 2 days as the treasurer for the city of Lithia Springs. I'm going to let you read the newspaper articles where Mary Ward Cater balanced those books. I can remember when they came in. Thank God for that Douglas County Sheriff Department. racial group came after that flag and that flagpole. Y'all see that flag and that flagpole? That flag and that flagpole was everything to them. And I can remember when they scooted me out that back door, which was literally the front door. Okay, but you came into the back door of that building and took me over to the bank. We withdrew that check, closed that bank account out. They put me in my 1988 Honda and locked that door and told me go home because they not playing on the other side of this door. Okay, on the front side, we can't let you go out that door. Yes, only 2 cities in the state of Georgia. Can anything come from Washington Street? I balanced the books and went down on national records as the last official treasurer for the city of Lithia Springs when Judge James and the citizens of Lithia Springs wanted to vote the city out. Could anything come from Washington Street Elementary School that know how to do anything? Susanne Ward Jones Henry went on to be the clerk at Pebblebrook High School. Yeah, some of us worked in these areas where we went to school at. And a lot of folks in Georgia can't get a job in your own state. Okay, most folks have migrated here, but a few of us did. Coach Harris said, Miss Kata, help us. And I have to be honest with you, I a lot of times ask the Lord, well, why did I need to help? Okay, I don't get paid for it. Don't nobody give me nothing. I said, why do I need to help with all these different projects? Because God has commissioned us for purpose. It's not about just money. It's not about, look at that school sign that say South Cobb Early Learning Center. Look at the building. Y'all, this is the way it was when we was children. Look at the building. Hundreds of children is in this school. Go back to what I said on one of my videos. The masses of people. The mass of people. Governor Roy Barnes, who was a candidate for the governor, started his campaign right in the front of this door with a bus tour all over Georgia. I was right there. Maddie Lou Clowers, the one that was 16 years old, go check the record. See, everything I tell you, there's a record for it. You can either Google my name, you can Google their names, and you can pull it up in the records of Spelman College. That's how we found her. When they told us, these peoples don't exist. And I took it to a little old sanctified preacher, Elder Roy Harton. They only gave me a picture of Phil McLemore. And I said, no, the South Cobb Art Alliance. And I said, Elder Harton, they said this lady don't exist. Who is this lady? She lived down the street from him. You better go to these churches. And black folks, you better get associated with the church. Okay, when you stand in court, you need that character reference anyway. Oh, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I was in there 23 years working as a bailiff. This was the school that Suzanne and Bernice went to. Yes, came out of this school and went on up. Although she graduated from Archer High School, this is where they desegregated them to. And remember when I told you my older sister, Gwendolyn, who's 20 years older than me, she couldn't go to school in Cobb County. Gwen couldn't go to Harmony Leland. Gwen couldn't go to the colored school in Cobb County. Gwen did not meet. Gwen, Barbara Teal, Edna, May went to the first class at William J. Scott School, elementary school. So the term elementary is very important. It's the foundation. It's the foundation. That's why they had to fight so hard to get that word on a black people's school, elementary. Because a child is a child. A child wasn't a color. A child was an elementary student. That's why they had so many sit-ins. So, Mayor Clemens, Councilman Valerie Anderson, I hope out of these videos you have gotten a little history. And I have to do it this way because there's no way I could write a book. I can even go with you and tell you about the epidemic, the leukemia epidemic that broke out at Pebblebrook. Oh yeah, my son had to be treated. Okay, and hundreds of other students. If we told you the history of down here, you would say, wow. Oh yes, but this was the school. When Coach Hare came to me, I went to Susanne and I said, oh no, we can't let them shut down your school because this where y'all came when they desegregated. Ain't it beautiful, y'all? They've even built more onto the school in the back of here. But this was Harmony Leland Elementary School. This is where, from Washington Street, and we only live right down the street, around the corner, on Sherrington Way, where I told you the first beginning was, where we had to walk to catch the buses, and Miss Betsy Rana, they told her find a bus driver. Now they couldn't send us. We could have walked on up here to the school and been at school, but desegregation had not come. We couldn't go to a white school. A lot of good people fought to break down racism, to break down segregation. A lot of students, you wouldn't have thought that two little girls broke down desegregation in this school. You never would have pictured it. Ever. And if they don't have the history, don't nobody else have it. Oh, yeah, maybe the Cobb Board of Education has it, but they would never talk about black students. I don't believe they will. And the history. So that's why I thank you so deeply, Mayor Clemens. And the one that contacted me, Councilman Anderson. I think she thought I was my sister, Miriam, because Miriam knew her. And she contacted me because she spoke at a program at Tabernacle, the oldest black church of God in Christ in the whole state of Georgia, in Austell, Georgia. See, everything leads back to Austell. That's why it's important that you do this project, that you get this history out there, because nobody remembered Austell. They remembered it as Babyland, that y'all were the ones that only supposed to have babies, but they didn't know that all this history came out of Babyland. All this history came out of Washington Street Elementary School. Most of your first people, the few of us that did get a job, came out of Washington Street Elementary School. And out of Roberts, I think it was one in Kennesaw, Rose Garden Hill, Lemon Street with M.J. Woods. The principal was M.J. Woods. Washington Street, where we went, the only school that was forgotten. Never a reunion. Never a history book. Never a nothing from Washington Street. And that same Route 1 that they sent me to over at Green Grove, around the corner from here, but it's in Austell, that's my family's land. With hundreds of graves, they can't build on it. Why not put a museum?